Hello, everyone. Hi,
Hello,
everybody.
hello.
Hello.
Welcome to Coach's Corner this wonderful Sunday, this wonderful day. And this is a special episode. We're on chapter 2 of the famous book from for some people, The Science of Getting Rich. Look at that. I love it. I love it. I had to get my fancy gold copy, my retro
Oh,
version.
I got mine.
There we go. And this particular chapter, oh wow, it's a very short one, but straight to the point. And I'm sure my amazing colleagues here would share their insight and experience to really help you apply or understand, for one, with an understanding, this material to your life, because we all want more life, a fuller and more expression, and this book really explains it. And with all the other stuff we know, we can tie that in as well, right? We know,
Hmm.
but it's not about knowing. It's about being and understanding. So I already started. I'm sorry.
Never apologize.
My name is Jamel Matias. I'm a certified mindset success coach slash business consultant. Basically, I help individuals. Looks like we're having a little trouble here streaming to Facebook. Okay, is it possible stream? End it or delete on Facebook. We'll try to. Okay, not sure what's going on there, but I guess we'll reconnect for Facebook if there's trouble. Okay, so again, my name is Jamel Matias. I'm a certified mindset success coach slash business consultant. And basically, I help individuals, entrepreneurs and businesses achieve milestones. And it's all about believing in the unseen. So I'm helping you basically go from where you are to where you want to go. And my purpose is to reveal the hidden potential that's already within you and guide you to your truest desires. So I'm in my office in Maryland, and I'm going to pass it to my amazing colleague, Lou.
Oh, hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us. So, my name is Lou Perica. I am a success mindset coach, and I help growth minded women who may feel stuck or unfulfilled, who truly desire more out of life, to reconnect with themselves so they can live with a life of prosperity and purpose and joy. I am located today. I am in Maine. Yesterday I was in Georgia, but I'm back here. I'm happy to be back here. I am really looking forward to diving into this book and bringing some clarity and some understanding about money and about the science behind getting rich. Paul.
well said, Lou. Thank you very much. And thank you, Jamel. My name's Paul Wooters. I'm a success mindset coach, Proctor Gallagher consultant, recently appointed Director of Inner Potential and Personal Mastery at the World Life Education Center and High School. And how did this all happen? Well, it happened by applying the success principles that myself and my colleagues teach. We study it and we apply it, and we're now gifted and blessed with teaching this. And I help individuals create their life by design, with intention, rather than by living by default. Jamel.
Wow, this is so good. All right, the science of getting rich. It just starts out just telling you exactly what this is. And there is a science of getting rich. I love science. For all my, sci-fi fans out there, you know, wow, I got an A plus in astronomy, and I just love science, and I love spiritual knowledge as well. And just right off the bat here, let me check my notes. Um, they go right in. It says here, there is a science of getting rich. There's a science of getting rich. And it is an exact science like algebra or arithmetic. There are certain laws which govern the process of acquiring riches. Once these laws are learned and obeyed by any person, they will get rich with mathematical certainty. And it continues here. The ownership of money and property comes as a result of doing things in a certain way. Those who do things in this certain way, whether on purpose or accidentally, get rich. While those who do not do things in this certain way, no matter how hard they work or how able they are, remain poor.
Mm.
Those first two paragraphs were extremely powerful. And it actually gave me a little more understanding of what this certain way was that Wallace was talking about. And I'll pass it on. Somebody want to take the baton there with that, you know, with that huge paragraphs.
I'll go. So that certain way, when I first read this book, I was like, oh, what is this certain way? What is this certain way? And as I started to study more and more, not only about how my mind works, how thought power works, how we get to direct thought power and create our own reality, I was also introduced to universal laws, which I really never heard of, other than, I don't know if it's a universal law, but the law of gravity, right? So the certain way is about universal laws. And in my opinion, this particular certain way refers to the law of cause and effect. So for every effect, there must be a cause. And for every cause, there must be an effect. So when Wallace D. Wattles, who wrote this book back in, what is it, 1910 or something like that, um, it doesn't matter when this information was written, because we're all so caught up in technology and everything's moving faster and faster. And what you learned yesterday may no longer be relevant today because technology. However, universal laws never change and they cannot be altered. So that's why my colleagues and myself teach this material. We experience this material because it's by law. It will never change. Just like gravity here on Earth, it will always exist. So the laws never change. So when we start to learn what that certain way is, the law of cause and effect, we can now start to think in a certain way. And really, thought is psychic income. Thought is an idea, and and money is an idea. Money is a belief system. So thought is actually the coin of heaven. So this is what I'll after we talk a little bit more, I want to just talk about how money came about, the whole process of it. But I'll pass it on to my colleague Paul.
Thank you, Lou. And yeah, Lou's getting into the universal laws, and she is really well versed. I love hearing her speak on the universal laws. She's really well versed on it. She said it. And coming into this, when we first started studying, I didn't know a lot about the universal laws either. And picking up this book, if you were with us last week, you have the right to be rich. And there's a science to getting rich. And there's this, if you have a money paradigm like I did, like many people did, rich, wanting money and thinking you deserve to be rich. That's, greed or something like that is coming to the surface, and money is bad. And people came by money, in a sort of, back doorway or something like that. They didn't come by it in an honest way, or those are the things that I was believing growing up. And so, if you pick up this book for the first time, there's a science to getting rich. In the first chapter, you have the right to be rich, and now there's a science to getting rich. Oh wow, it's all about money and wanting money, but it's not. You do have the right to abundance. And, you know, as Les Brown, I quoted this last week. I just loved when he said, you know, some people say money is bad, but everybody wants to find out for themselves, you know, something. So I just love that. And Jamel is so right. You know, you open up this book and it gets right to the point. The chapters are short, and right at the beginning of the chapter, there's a science to getting rich. And as Lou said, it goes by the universal laws, you know, the laws of the universe, which will never change. And so Wattles, who wrote this book, he explains that getting rich is not a matter of luck, or it's not a matter of talent or environment, but it's by following certain laws and principles that govern wealth, right? Just as there is a science to math or a science to physics, and Jamel loves science, so he really gets that. There's a science to getting rich, and it's a cause and effect process, as Lou alluded to. And, you know, he goes on as this unfolds, as this chapter unfolds, you know, it's not by chance. People don't become rich by accident. And they don't stay poor because of fate. If someone follows these laws of wealth creation, they will succeed, regardless of the background or situation.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this is good because we're here to help you, for one, right? And help you understand what these universal laws are. And the getting rich part, the monetary, the lifestyle, all the things you purchase or whatever, that's just an effect.
Mhm.
You know, as I was reading this chapter, I was like, okay, what is the certain way? What is this certain way? Just tell me, right? Just tell me so I can accumulate all the riches and help more people or whatever, right? So, and live a grander version of myself. But in essence, you know, Lou is touching on a lot of universal laws. Universal laws, we are a part of these laws that have been here well before we've been here, right? So they always been here. They'll always be here, even if the human race turns into whatever else, right? So, and we can get very scientific about that. But the point is understanding universal laws. A really popular one is the law of attraction. A lot of people talk about that. They believe in it, but they're not really understanding it. And here, I wouldn't say everybody doesn't understand it, but there's always way to know more knowledge, to do something better, to be something. And what they're talking about here, what I really got from is, let me stop my alarm. I'll let somebody go off. Continue here.
Oh,
Please.
you have an alarm going off? Well, I just wanted, I'm looking at something. I've been taking some notes from another class that I'm attending. And somebody had asked Bob, you know, why do you focus so much on money? And Bob's response is because there are so many people who are bad at it. And another thing that he says is money will magnify more of who you already are. Money is an amplifier. But just like Paul was saying, we've all been raised, well, majority of us have been raised with these beliefs about money. And I'm going to just hop in while Jamel's off screen right now. I put into ChatGPT the other day to give me the history of money, because I know money to be an energy, but I wanted just to find out and just to briefly give you a couple of bullet points. So before money, there was a barter system. The problem was it was clunky and not scalable. So people traded goods directly, so wheat for fish, etc. But sometimes you may not need the fish. Sometimes you may not need the wheat, and we didn't want to carry these things around. So there's a metaphor, like trying to fit two puzzle pieces together that don't always match. So then the birth of money, there was a commodity. There's commodity money, like salt, cattle, shells. They became a standard exchange. and then coins, gold, silver, copper, and then paper money was a promise backed by metals or government authority. And then fiat money, which we have today, money isn't backed by gold, just belief. So money is an agreement, a collective belief, and it has value because we say it does. It's not real like wood or water. It's an idea of exchange, just like a theater ticket. It's just paper, but it grants access because of shared agreement.
Mhm.
That might give you a different outlook on money to just have that little brief history and a little bit of an understanding. It truly is an idea. My husband goes crazy when I tell him that. It's just an idea. There's really no such thing. But Jamel, back to you. My apologies.
Oh, no need to apologize. I love it. We're all here to serve and help
Yeah.
people. So, yeah. So getting back to universal laws, and it also ties into what Lou is sharing here. Um, Basically, that certain way, the certain way is, bless you, is basically, you're welcome, is basically the law of cause and effect. We are the cause of everything we experience in our life. We are the cause. And Wallace breaks down different scenarios, how, and we'll get into that, but it's the law of cause and effect. So money is an effect. Getting rich is an effect of, one, your mindset. A lot of people have money paradigms or limiting money beliefs. And we all shared in multiple episodes about different ways we were raised with ideas of money, about having to work hard, not feeling worthy. Um, just am I worth that amount of money? Or, you know, basically something outside of what you've been so programmed to be. And, it's funny here, they mention further, getting rich is not a matter of environment, right? And it was funny because they mentioned that someone in your city, for instance, can be very wealthy and successful, while another person can be doing the same stuff, same business, and not be successful and basically be broke or even bankrupt, right? Why is that? And he even said maybe it's not, maybe the other state that's next to you, if you're in the States, could be a whole poor state, and this other one is very successful doing the exact same thing. Why is that? And it's because of the certain way. And this is why it's good to understand what universal laws are, because we are a part of them. And he even talked about whether you know it or you don't, it's still operating, which is huge to me.
Mm-hmm.
You can't escape it. And even if you don't even care about this, there are those that are successful, not knowing the universal laws, but they are a part of it. So even if you understanding it, you're able to apply it at a high degree, knowing what you're doing. That's where you're conscious competent, meaning you're consciously aware of the competency of what you're doing. So yeah, just wanted to get that out a little bit and explain how I interpreted what the certain way was, because I was like, tell me this certain way, please.
Yeah, though, that's so true, Jamel. And I love that you brought that up. Some people are an unconscious competent, or they just don't know what they're doing, but they're doing it, the right way. And some people are very conscious and aware of it. I was speaking with my daughter the other day, and you're talking about something similar. People can come out of college or university with a degree, and you can all come out with the same degree. But why do all those people have a different result? They don't have the same results. Even though they have the same certification or they have the same degree, they will have different results in their life. And as Jamel said, there's people in, like, choose any industry, it could be real estate. I mean, I know Lou has a great background in real estate, and there's different people, different offices, and different people who seem to be very successful, and some people who are not, and they are in the same area. They're maybe working out of the same office. So it's not dependent on the environment. A lot of people assume that wealth depends on where you live or who you know. But, Wattles Wattles, the author, rejects that idea because he points out that rich people exist in every industry and location, as do poor people. And the difference is not the environment, but how they think and act. And that is so important. I'm so happy that Jamel brought that up, because otherwise, as he said, there would be people like this city or this state or this province, every single person would be rich or every single person would be poor, and that's just not the way it is. And if you think back to the Great Depression, there was people that were very successful in spite of the depression, and other people who just their businesses went down and they went down and they had no work, and it was really tough. It was really tough overall, but some people came out and they found a way. They just did things in a certain way, and they still managed to get through that. So it's not dependent on the environment, and it's not even dependent about talent, intelligence, education. As I said, people can come out with a degree and have a different result, even though they have the same degree as someone else. It's not special ability. They aren't the deciding factors. There are highly talented people that remain poor, and there's others with modest talents, and they become really, really wealthy. People that didn't go to college, didn't go to university, didn't finish high school or something like that, and they become wealthy. What matters is applying this science that we are discussing today.
Thank you, Paul. Thank you, Jamel. Yeah, so wealth or success or the desire for more is really all a state of mind. Everything that we discuss on Coach's Corner is about consciousness, universal laws, and consciousness. So, an individual's environment, their conditions or circumstances in life are really an outpicturing of their state of mind, how they see themselves. So Paul used the example. So when I was in real estate, I use this example. You could have two individuals, each with their own office, each maybe with the same amount of years behind them, skills, talent, both doing the same activity, yet one struggles while the other one, it appears to be just so much easier. Why is that? They're doing the same activities. Basically, they have the same level of talent and skills because one believes in themselves. They have accepted the fact that they're very good at what they do. People that they reach out to respond to them favorably. They have, whether they're an unconscious competent, that they don't even realize what they're doing that makes them successful, or they're a conscious competent. When I say that, they understand about their thoughts, about the way they feel, about their behavior, their attitude, the universal laws, and they use all of that to serve them. So it's the attitude that you have about yourself and with real estate, about the market, about the potential prospects or clients that you're working with. It's how are you showing up? How do you believe in yourself and what you're capable of doing and of achieving? Because all of that, our thoughts, our feelings are expressed in our behavior. And all of that, our thoughts, feelings, and behavior are the cause, and the results are the effect. So this is why when you really start to get that true understanding of how magnificent you are and how powerful you are and how we have been given the gifts to create our own reality, you will start to understand that there is a science of being rich, and you do have the right. Everyone is born with the right, but we're also born with the set of beliefs that have been handed down generation after generation after generation. And we believe those beliefs. And beliefs have a vibration. And that vibration, those beliefs and those vibrations are expressed on how we're thinking, how we're speaking, and how we're behaving, and ultimately the effect or our results. So you have to do some self observation. Really look at your life. Look at the results. Look at the effects that you have been causing. And we don't blame ourselves, we don't get down on ourselves. Just observe without judgment and say, how do I react if someone cuts me off in traffic? How do I react if a prospect says no, thank you? How do I react when I get my bills? These are great things to just take a look at how you react to life. Are you reacting or are you responding? And when we say respond, we mean understanding all of this material, understanding how our thought works, how our mind works, how we get to direct this thought energy. Because when I used to react to life because I thought life was coming at me and I had to defend myself, right? Now I understand that life is coming for me, in from me, and through me. And I also have an understanding of, I get to shift the way I think. I have the ability, we all do, to shift and change the results. So how do you think about money? How do you react when people speak about money? Do you get a little tightness in your chest? Do you get a little sweaty? Do you want to change the conversation? Is it Mary Morrissey that uses the example? I may have said this last week about, if she was holding a baby, she'd kiss the baby, people be like, oh, but if she had money in her hand and went, people might be repelled by that thought, right? It's just an idea. So really reflect on what your thoughts and beliefs about money are, because until you do that, until you get real and understand your beliefs, question your beliefs, things won't change. You need to have a shift in your beliefs in order to start to see shifts in your results.
Wow. I was waiting for a moment to do
I
that.
love that. Thank you.
I've done it several times, but I forgot I have that there. I meant to do that at the beginning of the episode, but that is so good because I'm so glad you mentioned that, Lou, and Paul as well. That was amazing. Because you have to reevaluate yourself. You have to reevaluate your belief system because you can never outperform your self-image, and your belief system is tied to that self-image, how you see yourself. So when they say a certain way, and you're basically you're becoming that version. You're being that version of you with whatever income that you want, whatever so-called riches that you desire. And if you're uncomfortable talking about 20,000, 50,000 a month, or 100,000 a month, then that shows where your comfort zone is, where your ceiling is. But guess what? In life, there's no ceiling. There's no ceiling. We have unlimited potential and unlimited ability, but the only ceiling we have is the ceiling we make for ourselves. So when they say do things in a certain way, I really think about Thomas Trord, be in the spirit of it. So what is that spirit? Just what Lou shared here. It's what you're thinking, how you think about money, right? So are you thinking about, I don't have enough, I got to pay the bills for this month? Are you in a low vibration? And vibration is a primary law. So, and that's also part of spirit. So vibrational state, everything vibrates, even money. So if you're at a low vibration with money, the outside will always match the inside. So this is why thinking is the highest form, the highest thing we can do. And not a lot of people think. They always react, like Lou was saying. We've been conditioned to react pretty much our entire lives based on what we see, hear, smell, taste, and touch. So we're allowing the outside world to dictate what's happening on the inside. It should be the other way around. And basically, it's a perpetual cycle of doom, right? We're allowing, oh, your bank account. Oh, I don't have this car. Oh, I can't take that trip. Dictate how you think and how you feel over and over again. So here it says, if getting rich is the result of doing things in a certain way, and if like causes also produce like effects, then any man or woman who can do things in that way can become rich. And the whole matter is brought within the domain of exact science. As he continues here, the question arises here. This is good. Whether this certain way may not be so difficult that only a few may follow it, this cannot be true, as we have seen. So far as natural ability is concerned, talented people get rich and blockheads get rich. Intellectually brilliant people get rich and very stupid people get rich. These are the words here. Physically strong people get rich and weak and sickly people get rich. Some degree of ability to think and understand is, of course, essential. But insofar as natural ability is concerned, any man or woman who has sense enough to read and understand these words can certainly get rich. So I know I read kind of fast there, but anyone that's watching this, don't doubt yourself. You have the ability to become very wealthy. And what that does, it amplifies the essence of who you are. And money allows you to basically produce good beyond your own presence. So don't hide with your limiting beliefs about money. Reevaluate. Why do I believe I can't have that lifestyle or I can't achieve that amount of income? Because that's the essence of you seeking more expression and more expansion. Get uncomfortable. The more you get uncomfortable, you're shedding your old self. Get out of that shell. You're like a hermit crab in a shell that doesn't know the whole world that's around you. If you look at a hermit crab, they outgrow their shells. They look for a larger shell. They'll crawl out, and it's only a matter of time. And they're very vulnerable when they don't have their shell, and they're looking for something bigger. You need to outgrow your shell. Actually, you don't need a shell at all. Let go, and you're unlimited. So I wanted to share that because Lou, you sparked something in me. You got my train of thought going when you started talking about that, because it's really being in the spirit of it and your thoughts. So anybody want to add to that?
I love that you brought that up, Jamel, because really we have to reevaluate ourselves, reevaluate our own thinking, our own paradigms, our own thinking about money and about wealth. And as Jamel said, there's no limit, there's no shell, there's no ceiling, and too many of us create a ceiling, create a cage around ourselves, because a person will never outperform their limiting beliefs. And we create those limiting beliefs. We have them, we've been programmed. And that's why, developing a greater awareness about ourselves and reevaluating how we're thinking, what we're thinking, not just what we're thinking, but how we think. Reevaluate that. and assess that, and always be, stretch yourself beyond your comfort zone a little bit, right? Even a little bit at a time, because that's where the real growth will happen. Otherwise, you stay stagnant, and everything around you is changing. Everything changes. Nothing rests, as Bob always said. And so if you're not growing, then you're dying. You're not just sort of staying the same. You're getting left behind. But we have to reevaluate how we think. So we think a certain way, and as Lou said, that causes us to feel and behave a certain way, and that's our actions will create a reaction, and that action reaction is going to get our result. So you want a different result, you have to have a different action, but we have to think in a different way. You have to think in a certain way and do things in a certain way. The universal law of wealth wealth creation is governed by universal laws, as we've been saying, and they work for anyone who applies them. As Jamel said, anyone who applies them, if it works for that person, it only makes sense that if someone else applies the same principles, that it will work. And by learning and acting in harmony with these principles and these laws, anyone can become rich. It's a scientific process, as Wattles says, and I love that Jamel brought that up, and read that out. That intelligent people get rich. There's in the book it says blockheads get rich, right? But there's but there's really intelligent people that just remain poor.
Sorry, that was a bit long.
It is humorous when you read it, right? Because but you can think of a time that you saw someone succeed in spite of them not being the most talented, right? You can just sit and think for a minute. You can think of someone or someone you saw, or someone growing up, or someone in your neighborhood, and someone in your business who doesn't seem the most talented, but they're very, very successful. And they might not know what it is they're doing, but they're doing something in a certain way that gets them to that next level. So this thing about developing your self-awareness, we talk about it all the time, not just now, not just in this chapter, but developing that self-awareness. So once you expand yourself, you will never go back. Once you expand your thinking, you'll never go back. You just have to stretch yourself a little bit and be really willing to step outside your comfort zone. If you doing the same thing over and over again, you're going to get the same result. If you want a different result, you have to do things a little bit differently.
Awesome. I wanted to, I was thinking about people. A lot of us were raised to believe about luck.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I thought luck was a real thing. But then I learned it's not. There's no such thing as luck. There is no universal law of luck.
Mm-hmm.
But I just wanted to go over quickly, just tap on, there are 7 laws of wealth. And again, what does wealth mean for you? Maybe it doesn't mean a huge bank account, but it's a state of mind. It's a state of being where you find your joy. This is where I'm happy living this lifestyle. That's a wealthy mindset. But there's the law of cause and effect, as we've been talking about, the law of vibration, the law of receiving, the law of supply, the law of gratitude, the law of increase. And I just want to touch upon this one, the law of compensation. And Earl Nightingale described and explained it the best way. The need for what you do. Is there a need for what you do? Number 2 is your ability to do it. And number 3, the difficulty in replacing you. So how do we apply this to money? Improve your skills, serve more people, and become difficult to replace in the marketplace. But so what is going to separate you? It's your ability to do whatever it is you do and the uniqueness that you bring. I can't tell you how many times I love salespeople. I really do. Because, first of all, kudos for being and deciding to be a salesperson, because it can be the worst career or the most financially abundant career. And once again, it's the attitude. So sometimes I don't get them that often, but when I had a landline, I'd get those phone calls, someone trying to sell me something. And I always encouraged the person. I didn't buy, perhaps because I just didn't have the need for it. But I always admire the guts that someone had to pick up a phone and make phone calls to people they didn't know and perhaps try to sell a service or product that that other person may or may not need. But I always encouraged them. And the whole part is in believing. And sometimes you could tell when someone was speaking if they truly believed in their product or service that could truly benefit me, or if someone was just making the call just for the sake of, oh, my boss told me I had to make 20 calls today. That is the difference. So what can we do with the law of compensation? So we can probably pretty much agree, for the most part, whatever you're doing, there's a need for you. There's a need for that service or product. Your ability to do it and the difficulty in replacing you. Well, we're all replaceable. It may be difficult, but we're all replaceable. So the only thing we have the ability to do is focus on number two, right? The ability to do it. Really love what it is that you're doing. Love who you're showing up as when you're doing it. Be passionate about what it is that you're doing. And think of the other person. How can the other person truly benefit? Not thinking about your outcome, but how the outcome for someone else by using this service or product. And when you get really good at that, you become difficult to replace. That is a law. That is the law of compensation. So you can start to see when we're talking about the law of cause and effect, the law of compensation, and then I just mentioned some others, you can start to see everything does operate by law. And you will make your life so much easier than thinking it's all about hustle and grind and just accumulating more and more stuff. It's creating the life that you desire, whether that has just enough for what you makes you happy or more. And there's nothing wrong with more. It doesn't mean you're selfish. It doesn't mean you're self-centered. It's our divine essence within us always wants to experience more. So all of us have that within us. But then through our conditioning, who do you think you are? Be satisfied with what you have, right? Be satisfied. And what did Alicia talk about, that cow story? They were satisfied with what the cow was giving them. And then the master and his disciple decided the cow had to go. And once that cow went, the family had to come up with new ideas. Thought is psychic income. They had to come up with new ideas. And by those new ideas, they created more in their life. But had they kept that cow and continued just to live that lifestyle, they were satisfied. They were content, but they're not growing. Our whole purpose is to grow and to expand, but you have a choice. This is why we always say you must really want something. You must truly desire some sort of shift or change. because without that strong emotional connection to something different, we remain doing the same thing over and over. And that is stagnant. That's not growth. This is why we always start with, what do you really want? It's such a powerful question. And it's really the most important question when you think about it, because everything else is taken care of. What? Yeah. You don't have to think about breathing. You don't have to think about your body, all the body parts functioning. You don't have to think about the sun coming up. All you have to focus on is, what do you truly want to experience? How would you love to contribute to society or to your family? Who do you really want to be? Who do you want to show up as? So when a person cuts you off in traffic, for an example, and you might flip them the bird or swear, whatever you do, when you react, does that really make you feel good? Would you really rather respond in a much different way? These are the questions we have to ask ourselves, but you have to truly want the change. And it's just really bringing out another version of you. There's so many different layers of us that just are laying dormant because we're comfortable with who we are now. And if that's you, then that's fine. But we're speaking to the people who really want more, because they know they're capable of more. And they desire to experience more out of this life, because 100 years, or give or take, goes kind of fast.
Wow. Go ahead, Lou. That was
Get
amazing.
another? Do I get another?
Oh, let me find it.
Come
Yeah.
on.
I'll give it to you, Lou.
There we go. Yeah. Yes. And of course, for those that are live, feel free to drop your questions and comments live, so we can engage with you. And I was waiting for Lou to kind of let a cow in that room there as a prop, if she could,
I
again.
don't have any props. I'm not like Alicia.
Yeah. And shout out to Alicia. She's here in spirit, as you can tell.
That's all I have. Is
there you
my
go.
little gnome.
Well, what is that? A gnome?
My little gnome. It says welcome.
Oh, well, you can spin that into a conversation, I'm
There you
sure.
go.
I'll let you think about that one. But yeah, you shared so much, and hi, Alicia. She's traveling, I believe. So, and you know what? You said so many powerful things there. One that stood out to me in the beginning, you mentioned the word luck. The word luck. And most of us have used that word most of our lives, right? But that word is it's a made up word to describe basically ignorance, not knowing these laws that we're talking about.
Yeah.
Oh, that person's just lucky. Oh, they're lucky. And you mentioned everything happens by law, and it does. And I remember even dust and feathers abide by law. And that always stood out to me. Even the smallest things abide by these laws that we're a part of. And if you choose something that is outside of where you are, what do you really want? Understanding these laws is essential. And essentially, we're talking about the law of cause and effect and the law of vibration. They all really, they're interwoven. And they're always operating at the same time. I don't think you mentioned the law of rhythm, law of gender, perpetual transmutation, energy, all this stuff, right? But we can go down that route. But understanding one key thing is, my mind is the center of divine operation. Your thoughts. It always starts with your thoughts. So it's important to understand and ask yourself, like Lou said, what do I want? What speaks to you? What is that desire? Like where are you going? Right? It's just like the GPS system. we drove all the way down to Florida. I went through several states in one day. I don't know, 5 states in one day.
I see a bunny rabbit.
and without a GPS system. Imagine winging it. You know, it's over 10 hours of driving. And on the way back, it was 14. We had to do some other stuff. But the point is, this is your GPS of life.
Mm.
We're not just sharing stuff we're excited about. Well, we are, but it's for you to understand and apply. And without this knowledge, I tell you, I would have been operating on the same level many years of not knowing who I am and what I'm a part of. Now that I have this knowledge, now I know how to rewrite my belief system, rewriting these things that have been holding me back for so long. You mentioned something else. It was and you said salespeople. You mentioned how, you commend people that have the guts to do things, most people don't want to do. And you mentioned about believing in products. I don't just believe in this material. I know that it works. And you know how you know that this type of material works is through experience. You start seeing the outside reflect what you're doing on the inside. Never, ever allow the outside to dictate the inside. And that's basically what the certain way is being in the spirit, thinking like the version, feeling like the version, and acting like the version with whatever it is that you desire. And this also connects what Neville Goddard teaches as well. Obviously, Bob Proctor. It's all different ways of saying the same thing. But forever, as long as you live, it will always be a part of these laws that we're talking about. Even in the afterlife, if you will, if you believe in that. And then you'll get another higher awareness like, oh, okay, now I understand these higher universal laws that I'm a part of. And then there'll be something else for you to grow. It's I wouldn't say, well, I don't know if it's infinite. I'm guessing it is. And then you can start all over again, right? To know thyself. But yeah, thanks, Lou, for sharing all that. That's so cool. Paul?
Yeah, there's so many good things, and it could take this in so many different directions. But Lou made a very, very the most important point, and then Jamel underscored that. Like, you have to ask yourself, what do I want? What do I really, really want? And define that. What does that mean? What does success mean? I want to be happy. What does happiness mean? I want to be successful in my business. What does that look like? What does that mean? You have to be very definite on what it is that you're thinking of. And as Jamel said, you have a GPS system now. If you're an older person than Jamel, like Lou and myself, you had to have a map. You had to pull out a map. I remember going to going and getting a map, and they would, the auto club. You could go and get a map. You're going to, they would give you a map and they would outline where you had to go. But you wouldn't go out your driveway and you want to just go out for a drive or country drive and just go randomly. But most of the time, you have a destination in mind. You don't just hop in your car. You have a destination in mind. And when you get up in the morning, do you have a destination in mind? I don't mean, yes, I have a 9-to-5 obligation, but what is it you really want? So many people, it's very sad, right? I'm so happy that I came across this material, and then I've met some, fantastic, beautiful colleagues like Jamel and Lou and on and on. But what was I saying? You have to define what it is you really want, and then what are you getting excited about? You have to operate from the inside out. As Jamel was saying, not be so reactive about what's happening around you, but decide what it is you want and what action steps are you going to take. What are you going to do? What are you going to do in order for you to be something, or in order for you to do something, first you must be something. So be that person. Be that person now. What would that person do, and what would they say, and how would they dress, and how would they go about their work and their business? So, the only difference between, who you are and who you want to become is what you do. So you want to be something different, start doing something different, doing something in a different way, and you'll get a different result. You're going to get different feedback. Your actions produce a reaction. So a different action will produce a different reaction. But you really have to ask yourself, what is it that I really, really want? And not to go through life and then be sitting, on a stool somewhere someday and going, I had a good life. I had a pretty good life. And yeah, you should be grateful for what you have. But as Bob would say, there should be a healthy dissatisfaction. And it's that healthy dissatisfaction which, got the telephones off the wall and into our hands. That healthy dissatisfaction got us to do these live streams. The healthy dissatisfaction brought about the internet, brought about computers, brought about different ways of transportation, of different communication. That healthy dissatisfaction took us from the caves to the condos. So you have to, there's, yes, be grateful for what you have. This isn't about being wealthy, isn't about greed, but money, it amplifies you. I think it was Lou or Jamel said it's an amplifier. It amplifies who you are, and you can be the person that you really want to be. If you require money to purchase things, to exchange services, as Lou said, it's an exchange of service. It's an agreement. But in order to do that, you have to have it. You have to have something to return to somebody else. You have to have something that you can give to someone else, and something will be given back to you. But it really comes down to that inner awareness that Jamel was talking about, and to always be, reflecting on what you're thinking, reflecting on what you're feeling. And instead of reacting to everything, give yourself an opportunity to respond. And I know Jamel said it, I know Lou said it. It's in your response. That's where you have control. And that's doing things in a certain way.
Very good. Yeah, I just wanted to, as I'm just looking at the time, money's important. That's it, period. It's important. If you want to be happy, if you want to be successful, if you want to contribute to society, if you want to give your family a better life, if you want a little bunny, stuffed animal bunny rabbit, it all takes money. So let's just start looking at money differently. It is a tool. It is a tool to enhance our life. When I'm speaking to a prospect and they say, "Oh, I just want to be more happy." Why do we have to put a dollar amount on that? Well, the dollar amount can be for you to be happy. Maybe it is to pay your bills. Maybe it is to take a trip. Maybe it is to go out to a nice restaurant. Maybe it is to help donate to your favorite cause. But it all takes money to do this. It can be pretty challenging to be happy without it. Can people? I'm sure there are many monks, right? So this is why when you focus on just being very spiritual and neglect the mind and body, this is why I think mentioned last week. We are on three planes, living on three planes simultaneously. We are a spiritual being. We have an intellect and we live in a physical body. All three of these make us up. And having money and living a lifestyle that we truly desire is all part of that. Am I spiritual? Absolutely. Do I use my mind and guide my thoughts? Absolutely. Do I take action? Absolutely. Do all three of these things give me an effect, a result? Absolutely. but I use all three because that's who I am. And money is important, period.
Yes, I love it. And I'm so grateful to share, this material with everyone here, and always grateful to share it with my amazing colleagues. So much value on these sessions. And if you missed last Sunday, just watch the replay, whatever platform you watch it on,
Mhm.
because we talked about the right to be rich. And you shouldn't feel bad about desiring more out of life. You really shouldn't. It just allows you to live a fuller and more expanded life. Our spirit is meant for fuller expression and expansion. And these desires and these things that you want, sometimes we're even afraid to dream or to imagine. We're afraid to even speak about to ourselves about what we truly desire. And because we're afraid of what the outside world would even do to us. And even saying your dreams to other people, even loved ones, sometimes especially loved ones. So, you know, you have these dreams and goals of income or experiences because that's what's given to you for you to grow. We're always meant to grow, just like the grass, it grows effortlessly, the trees, the flowers, it just expresses itself. And whenever you're not expressing yourself and taking this material seriously, you're dying inside. You're disintegrating.
Mhm.
And that it's that flower that turns brown and withers away and the leaves fall off. And then you look back, in your later years in life, and I wish I really did take that seriously what they were talking about. I wish I did get on a call with Lou or Paul or Jamel about my life and where I'm going. You look back with regret. And I can't tell you enough. I talked to people that I talked to a year ago, and they're in the same place or worse because they get inspired and they get motivated and they get an understanding, but they never took action. And you taking action shows the universe exactly who you're becoming, who you're being. That's why it's all about be, do, have. When you make an action, even just setting up a call to see if mentorship's a good fit for you, that defines your higher version. I am serious about my future. I'm taking this action to talk to them to see if it's a good fit. Just a call, right? If you're not taking an action and you desire more, that's your limiting self holding you back. And even if you're uncomfortable, us talking about money and riches, that's your limiting beliefs. You're on a low level of vibration. We're here to break you out of that. We're not here just to entertain you. I know we're very entertaining. We're not here just to tell you amazing stories. We're here to help you. We're all here to help you because we're going through it ourselves at a high level. I'll be doing the rest of my life. And that's right. Believe.
Believe.
You have to believe that you attracted us to help you get to a point that you've never been before. Even getting out of your own mind to even imagine. Remember, everything's created twice, once in the unseen and then in the seen. So it starts with fantasies. What is that fantasy for you? Let go how long, or how I can do all. You got to get very clear and very honest with yourself. What do I really want? And let go of all limitation. The only limitation is the limitation you put upon yourself. So this has been great. Of course, next step, contact us today for your next step to see if what we're talking about can be helpful for you. And before I almost forgot, of course, this has been amazing. Coach's Corner. I always love hearing so much guidance, and I'm looking for something very special, and I can find it. But anyway, anybody have anything this month they like to share that's going on?
I do. Again, at the World Life Education Center, There's a high school success skills series that I'll be delivering. It's 5 days, September 15th to 19th. So all high school students in the GTA, Burlington, Oakville, Mississauga area. And we're going to be covering study and research skills, time organization, communication, and presentations. What else? Academic and personal growth planning, and peer dynamics. And so it's every day, 5 days for an hour and a half. You can do all 5 days for a package of $85, or you can choose single days for $25. And that's the World Life Education Center. So DM me for further information on that.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Found it.
Right on cue. I love it. I am working on putting together a masterclass. Most likely it'll be a 3-day masterclass. I'm thinking about doing a mastering your money mindset masterclass. Blah, 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 blah. That's a mouthful. So stay tuned for that. I'll be announcing that on my social media platforms and through email. I just have this one question that you should ask yourself. I wrote this down. Am I approaching wealth as a matter of luck or as a science that I can master?
Yeah, I like that. I like that. I love that. September 13th, actually next Saturday, 9 a.m. Eastern time, I'm doing a free webinar, The Science of Getting Rich. So I'll be talking on different topics about this, one of my top 5 books, Wallace D. Wattles. So feel free to actually on social media, you can always message me wherever you're watching this, just DM me for access to that link, or just put it in the comments of this post or whatever. I post pretty much every day last week with that, but you can always reach out to me for access to that. And shout out to the people that already registered. Remember, the universe, it knows action. Stop wishing and hoping. Take action in your life, and don't let your limiting beliefs control you anymore. All right. It's been awesome. Bye, everybody. See you next time.
Yeah, thank you.
For joining. Thanks for watching.